Good evening, Dr. Campbell. This is Michael Prather with my Module 9 assignment, detailing a little overview of my Capstone project. The Capstone project discusses the dangers and addiction theories of a designer drugs, specifically the synthetic cannabinoids, spice and K2, as they're known as, and the synthetic cathinone bath salt. My hypothesis in this for this paper is that adolescent usage in the age of say 10 to 15 correlates with long-term addiction into young adulthood. And what I mean is that what I found in my own research and my own experience in my career is that those that use these drugs at an early age tend to keep using these drugs into young adulthood, later adolescence, young adulthood, and beyond. And they also use other drugs. So I believe that adolescent use of these drugs, since they're relatively easy to get a hold of, can produce long-term effects and long-term addiction in adults. Some of the findings to back some of this up is that I found that the K2, spice, K2, and the bath salts are actually more addictive. And they are more addictive because, A, they are stronger. Simple fact of the matter is that they attach to receptors in the brain more readily, quicker, and with more effect. And because of that, they also cause more physical health issues, including seizures and death. Many reports of death and seizures I've witnessed, probably 1 to 2 per week in our agency. And based on that, I believe it leads to long-term substance abuse disorders. Some of the procedures and evaluations that I use to make these determinations and to write this paper includes research, just doing simple research on ProQuest. Although I'm surprised that there's not a lot of research. In fact, there's even research that says that the media has overhyped the dangers of spice K2 and especially bath salts. I'm not sure that that's true. I'm sure there's some evidence to that because the media likes a good story, but the bottom line is that the research is the research, and what's available tells me that these drugs are extremely dangerous, powerful, and quick acting. I have also studied a couple of case studies that I'll be adding to the paper of a couple of gentlemen that I have met and have known for in and out of the system really for a couple of years. They claim to have been using bath salts and K2 ever since they became prominent here, about 7 years or so. They're claiming usage from 2008. I can't verify that, but sounds reasonable. And I know the drugs were available back then. And they'll be in the paper as well. And also my own personal experience. I see this all the time. I see this every day. I've seen people fall out. I've seen seizures. I've seen people just act like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. I've seen people come in with backpacks, and I searched their backpacks. You're not allowed to have certain things in our office, and I found a guy with a hatchet who also had a small baby bunny rabbit tied around with a string on a stick. And he was a spice K2 and bath salt user. So I've seen a lot of this through my career. They want to know what I discovered in this. I discovered that this stuff's incredibly dangerous because the increased effect and increased strength gives an increased effect. It's flat out dangerous. It just makes people not understand who they are, what they're doing. It's probably the worst drugs I've ever seen, and I do know that people commit crimes on these drugs and don't remember doing it. And also, what I found is that there's a huge misconception about the perception of these drugs, in that these, based the way these drugs are packaged and have been packaged when they were legal, they're still considered legal. Many people believe these are still legal here in Indiana. They are not. They are penalized, very similar to possession of marijuana, possession of cocaine, and such, and they are level 6 felonies. In certain amounts, that is. The bottom line is that there are those out there who believe that they are smoking incense, and that they really are just bath salts, and that they're not really harmful to anybody, and that the government wouldn't have them out there if they were really that bad. You couldn't buy them in a gas station, or even a head shop, or a convenience store, and they're still sold there. And today they change the chemicals so much and the packaging so much that they're virtually undetectable in 99% of the drug tests we use. As soon as I get a drug test in from my cup that allows me to test for the spice in K2, and nothing for vessels, by the way, they change the formulas, they change the packaging, they change the chemical makeup, and voila, they come, and I know they're high on bath salts, I know they're high on spice or K2, and my spice test tells me that I'm getting a negative reading, and that's frustrating, but I see that a lot. Consequences of the use, overconsumption. Oh my gosh, people use the heck out of it. I mean, they just keep going because it's just such a straight, strong high. When it starts going off, they want to do more. And based on that, there's disinhibition, where people will do whatever they want to do. I mean, they just lose all their inhibitions and all their filters and all their control. I've seen that often in our offices, and which is a lot of that disinhibition is what brings them to our office from the criminal justice system. And I just believe, once again, that it predicates a substance abuse disorder, and that's what it does, in my opinion, and I can back that up. Treatment. The assignment wants to know, suggestions for solving the educational problem you chose. Well, I'm not sure it's an educational problem, but it's a substance abuse problem, and it's treatment. Long-term individual and group therapy treatment. I started off believing it would just be short-term. I only work with treatment teams on an average of 3 months. But I believe that considering our lack of success with the subjects who are using these substances, I believe that we're going to need to look at a longer-term solution for those who are assessed or who self-admit that they use spice, K2, or bath salts. I do have solution-focused brief therapy as a therapeutic technique up there, and that's because I use that, and not to the effect I probably should, because I'm not trained in it as much as I should be. I've attended a couple seminars, and I really like the miracle question. I really like to look at solutions instead of the problems, because normally the clients that I have certainly have a lot of problems, or they wouldn't normally be there. And we need to pull them out of that, because their life's often full of problems. I think family therapy is good too in this, and a holistic approach. And I mentioned family therapy a second ago. I meant to mention that with holistic, because I think we want to feed the mind, the body, the spirit, and the environment. And part of that environment is the family, in my opinion. And the only way I believe somebody's going to recover from long-term spice usage is that they need to have a fully functional support system and completely change their lives. And that includes their thinking. And yeah, that cognitive behavioral therapy would probably be effective here. And the 5 stages of change is part of our educational program, the pre-contemplation, and that. And they need to understand that most people I see don't want to change. And so our treatment rates on this are high, and our treatment success is low. So do I have the answers here? No, I don't know that I do. And I don't know that and none of the research that I've found has shown any success. In fact, there's very little research about it as far as treatment modalities. So we're going to go with what I'm going to keep plugging away with what I think and what I found, and try to tap into something, and maybe someday we'll find something that really works effectively. But I think since everybody's different, nothing's going to work for everybody. It's not the same protocol, but I believe a combination of these factors, these four factors, will help put us in the right direction anyway. And here's some reference. I just used 3 references for this brief talk, and so there's your 3 references. Anyway, I appreciate your time, Dr. Campbell. I'll be writing this. Hopefully, I'll have this done shortly. I will be out of town Friday through Sunday, so I will be responding back on Monday and getting this turned in. But anyway, thanks for your time. Any questions, you have my email, and we can talk then. Thanks, and have a great day.